David Essel here with you to talk about a topic that's very serious, but there are things that we can do to minimize the depression so many people are feeling. Over the last 3 years, oh my Lord, or 4 years, we've seen such an incredible increase in depression according to the American Psychological Association, and I think this is underreported, quite frankly. They're saying that about 40% of Americans are struggling deeply with depression. I'm looking at more like 60 to 65%. And there's many reasons why. I'm going to give you some solutions in a minute, but there's many reasons why. David Essel here for 43 years now. Oh my gosh, doing so much work in the world of personal growth and truly loving it. And I am someone that battled with depression for over 30 years unknowingly. And I do the work in the world of counseling and I couldn't figure out for myself. So it's a very tricky thing to figure out. And a lot of guys don't want to even admit they're depressed because that means they may have to ask for help. Now that's changing, thank God, but we really do as men need to be more willing to be humble, vulnerable, and ask for help if we're experiencing depression. And women, the same thing. You know, a lot of women will deny that they have this internal frustration or anger, and they keep carrying on for the kids or their partner or whatever it might be. But we need to slow down. Depression is rampant. It's everywhere. And what are some of the signs? Well, one is individuals that are sleeping all the time or people that have a really hard time sleeping. I mean, some of the signs of depression are the complete opposite. Some people may start to use food on a regular basis to sort of self-medicate, or alcohol, nicotine, pot, drugs, whatever it might be. It could be shopping, it could be spending, it could be gambling, it could be sex, it could be porn addiction. I mean, we try to find all these ways to not deal or to self-medicate the depression instead of going into the teeth of the lion and saying, wow, I'm feeling off. I need some help. I need to at least Google these symptoms that I'm feeling. You know, overwhelm, listlessness, a lack of joy in normal activities, maybe more isolation. I talked about increasing all of our dependencies and addictions with food and alcohol and everything else. An irritable, negative attitude, losing patience, excuse me, on a regular basis with our partner, our children, or whatever it might be. We can become a victim with depression, meaning that none of this is my fault, it's all other people's fault. But if we look at the last 3 years, there's many good reasons why someone could slip into a case of depression. And our rights were taken away. Remember when COVID first came out, oh my Lord, there were so many restrictions about moving and flying and even going to a grocery store, for God's sake. And everyone had to wear masks and vaccinations, if you believe in all that. And, you know, so it can be really throw us way off base. Our comfort zone has been ripped from underneath us. So I understand why people would go into a spell of depression. The problem is that if we don't start to attack it now, and I mean today, in another 7, 14 days or 3 to 6 months, it can get much, much worse. I can tell you that from my personal experience. I did not deal with my depression for 30 years. I used alcohol as a way to self-medicate, and in 1990, I had a failed suicide attempt. That is serious stuff. And I don't want anyone to have to go through that. And that feeling of being alone, isolating, overindulging, all of those things are signs and symptoms. And like I said before, we have a tendency to pull back in life. And then we'll use all the excuses. Well, I can't do this, and this because of the political scene or the pandemic scene or work environment. And let's also be honest. There's many people over the last number of years that have lost jobs, lost houses. The state of Florida, the hurricanes have just really ripped many people's lives apart. And I understand depression, and I understand the feeling and the hopelessness and the listlessness, you know. And so here's a couple things we can start to do to turn it around. Number one, I'm always going to say ask for help. If you're listening to this video, share the video, comment below. You have solutions that have worked for you with depression, comment below. But number one is get help. Doesn't matter if you're working with a minister, counselor, coach, therapist, psychiatrist, I don't care who you go to, but go to someone so at least you have someone you can trust to vent, to express the emotions that you're withholding inside. So that's number one. Number two, and this is a big one, what are we watching? What are we listening to? What are we reading? What information that we're taking in. If we're very addicted to the news or conspiracy theories, we're going to find ourselves in a very tough pickle. our attitude is going to suck, because all we're going to be thinking about is all that's wrong in the world instead of looking around and saying, well, what's going right? We can get sucked into the vortex of news and anger and arguments and all of that insanity. So what we watch, what we listen to, what we read is crucial. Another factor, who do we hang around with? Are we around uplifting people? Are we around people that are complaining all the time? Are we around gossipers? Are we around conspiracy theorists? Listen, who you hang out with has a huge impact on your mood, and it also has a huge impact on if you're willing to get help or not. If you're with low-lying fruit, and that's what I call people that are extremely demotivated and are gossipers and complaining all the time, extremely negative, it's going to be very hard for you to get motivated to ask for help, right? So we tell people you don't have to necessarily get rid of everyone in your life, but you do have to start, especially if you're struggling with depression, you've got to start spending more time with people who are grounded and uplifting versus people that are constantly complaining, because that's an easy place to get stuck into. Listen, if I can help you at all, I've gone through it. There's all kinds of nutritional supplements out there that can help. There's all type of exercises in the world of mental health that can really help alleviate a large percent of depression. So reach out to talkdavid.com. I'll put it below. Share the video, share your comments. You find solutions and I haven't mentioned them. There's a million more that I've mentioned. Put it below, okay? We're all in this together. Let's help each other. I'm David Essel. I hope you have a great day.